Friedrich Merz, who's the new German chancellor-elect. We begin with some breaking news coming from India. The Indian Air Force will hold a large-scale military drill in Rajasthan along the international border with Pakistan. A NOTAM, or Notice to Airmen, has been issued this evening. The major air exercise near the India-Pakistan border will be held between May 7th and 8th. The war games will also take place as states conduct first civil defense drills across India since the 1971 war with Pakistan. The NOTAM indicates restricted airspace usage in the region during this period. The NOTAM and the war games come amid continuing tensions with Pakistan over the terror attack in Pahalgam that claimed 26 lives last month. Hours earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met National Security Advisor Ajit Doval for the second time in the last 24 hours. This speculation continues over Delhi's military response. India conducted a large-scale military exercise featuring its frontline fighter jets and elite pilots on April 25th. The Navy also showcased its combat readiness last month. The Indian Air Force deployed its advanced Rafale jets and top-tier pilots for the exercise named Akraman. Pilots carried out high-intensity ground strike simulations across varied terrains, including mountainous regions, with active participation from Su-30 MKI squadrons. All right, so this is breaking news coming in from India. And the Indian Air Force will hold large-scale military drills in Rajasthan along the international border with Pakistan. A NOTAM, or Notice to Airmen, has been issued this evening. The major air exercise near the India-Pakistan border will be held between May 7th and 8th. The NOTAM indicates restricted airspace usage in the region during this period. The NOTAM and the war games come amid continuing tension with Pakistan over the terror attack in Pahalgam that claimed 26 lives last month. Hours earlier, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, held a meeting with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval for the second time in the last 24 hours. Now, India conducted a large-scale military exercise featuring its frontline fighter jets and elite pilots on April 25th. The Navy also showcased its combat readiness last month. The Indian Air Force deployed its advanced Rafale jets and top-tier pilots for the exercise called Akraman. Pilots carried out high-intensity ground strike simulations across varied terrains. Let's talk to our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Sidhan Sibol, who's now joining us on the phone. Sidhan Sibol, maybe you can give us more details on this latest development coming in from India.
Well, yes, a NOTAM has been issued and comes amidst tensions with Pakistan. We know that when it comes to the development, the tensions they have emerged after the Pahalgam terror attack by the Pakistani terrorists in India, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir last month. But essentially, we know that the mobilization is part of a preventive measure because it is widely believed that Pakistan could also indulge in some kind of misadventure. But all in all, we know that from the Indian side, there hasn't been any warmongering, unlike the Pakistani side, where the Pakistani ambassador to Russia claimed that they have the nuclear weapons. We all have also seen comments by the Pakistani defense minister claiming that in the past they have supported terrorists. So essentially in that backdrop, this is an important development. We still yet to know what is going to happen, but we also know that the Indian Prime Minister has been meeting the top military leadership in last few days since the terror attack has happened and holding conversations with world leaders who have extended support in terms of how India can act on the terror groups.
All right, that is our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Sidhan Sibol. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you. U.S. President Donald Trump is struggling to deliver on his #1 poll promise. Mass deportations, legal obstacles and a shortage of funds have made it harder than anticipated for the Trump administration to follow through. U.S. President has now come up with a new plan: self-deportation for $1,000. As Trump's big, beautiful budget undergoes tough negotiations in Congress, his administration has launched a new initiative encouraging voluntary departure. Under the program announced by the Department of Homeland Security, migrants who choose to leave the U.S. on their own will receive $1,000 to cover travel costs.
We thought we'd do is a self-deport, where we're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time.
Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, has asked Congress for more money to execute the large-scale deportations. He estimates the total cost at $86 million. Even though Republicans support funding the president's core immigration agenda, they have yet to agree on what spending to cut in order to make room for the mass deportation plan, all while also trying to fund Trump's push to extend his 2017 tax cuts. Despite so much noise around deportations, Trump's administration has deported fewer people than the Biden administration did during the same period last year. From January to April 2025, that's this year, about 152,000 people were deported under Trump. In comparison, the Biden administration deported 195,000 people between February and April in 2024. In a fresh blow to Trump's efforts to reshape America's immigration policy, a U.S. district judge has ordered the administration to admit 12,000 refugees who had been pre-approved for entry. Trump had earlier issued an executive order halting refugee admissions. An appeals court upheld the order, but ruled that refugees who had already received approval to enter the U.S. prior to Trump's inauguration must still be allowed in. The government says it will permit entry to refugees who are scheduled to arrive within 2 weeks of the order. The timeline, the district judge says, is not mentioned in the appeals court order. Let's now talk to our correspondent Susan Teherani, who is now joining us live from New York. Susan, good to see you. Has Trump run out of ideas when it comes to his immigration policy?
No. The reason that we're seeing less deportations is because there are less people now coming across the border. And also the $1,000 incentive, and basically the Department of Homeland Security acting as a travel agency that's even willing to help these people go back to their countries with their flights and bookings and stuff, is because in order to deport each and every one of them, it would cost the taxpayer $17,000 a person. And can you just imagine, with the millions that have crossed the border during the Biden administration, how much that would be? And also there's the issue of, holding court hearings for these individuals. The system wasn't meant to hold court hearings for these many illegals inside the United States. That was when, the situation was a lot more normal. So on the one hand, while the Trump administration isn't running out of ideas when it comes to deportations and immigration, it is running out of money and resources. And that's something that Tom Homan alluded to. Mm-hmm. So it's the cost measure that is concerning for the Trump administration right now as it tries to fulfill its promise on the one hand, and whether or not that bill, as you mentioned, can get passed in Congress and lawmakers will be on their side to give them more money. I mean, Border Patrol itself, just the cost is astronomical to try to get this ambitious immigration policy out of the way in the first 100 days and moving forward as well.
All right, let's see how this beautiful flight, according to Trump, will turn out. That is Susan Teherani. Thank you, Susan. Let's move on now. U.S. President Donald Trump and Canada's newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney are set for a high-stakes meeting. Both leaders will meet at the White House in a few hours from now. Both leaders will be shaking hands amid emerging cracks in what was once regarded as an ironclad friendship. This will be Mark Carney's first foreign visit after the election victory. The meeting comes as the Republican leader continues to push his trade war and threats of annexation. Both leaders have been engaged in a war of words on issues ranging from tariffs to Trump's ambition to make Canada a 51st state of the U.S. During the campaigning, Carney also carried an aggressive rhetoric against Trump.
What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars.
It is true that President Trump has betrayed Canada. He's betrayed Canada. And he has ruptured the global economy. Our old relationship with the United States is over, unfortunately. And America's leadership of the global economy is over. And this is a tragedy. This is still in play, but it is a tragedy. It is also our new reality. We have to recognize it.
Canada is America's second biggest trading partner, but Trump's aggressive tariff blitz in recent months has undermined that long-standing relationship. U.S. President announced 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico in February, claiming this was to stop fentanyl and migrant trafficking. Mark Carney rode on a massive anti-Trump wave to get the top job. It remains to be seen if both leaders will hold the line against each other or they will find a common ground. Mr. Dean Baxendale is a global columnist at Sunday Guardian. He is also a political and policy analyst. Mr. Baxendale is now joining us live from Toronto. Mr. Baxendale, good to see you again. Now this meeting is widely watched by everyone. Everyone wants to see the body language of both leaders, Mark Carney and U.S. President Donald Trump. How do you think that will go?
I think it will go. I think it will go quite well. Actually, I don't believe that it's in either leader's interest at this particular juncture in time to show any kind of fracturing, further fracturing in the relationship. There are three key issues here. Oh, and by the way, I'm in Washington to cover this event here today. So I'm in Washington. Really important here, three key things that the Americans are very interested in. The fentanyl the issue is a significant issue. Much of the Canadian rhetoric on this is that we only supply 1% of the supply. Canada has a much bigger role. Our role is also involved in the money laundering of the fentanyl proceeds of crime through the Mexican cartels and into Canada. We are a precursor transshipment point, and we are producing tremendous amounts of fentanyl that have been exported out of the country. We had a huge bust of 92 million pills. So that never went across the border. So for Canada to say we don't have a problem is of concern, and certainly we know that to be a case. Second is very much USMCA and Donald Trump showing that he can get a better deal for America. But quite frankly, the deal that he negotiated when he was in office was something that he touted as a signature piece of legislation. There's not much more there that we can do. There are some tweaks with respect to dairy, farming, poultry, etc. America wants our resources and wants our expertise on certain technology, etc. We have an opportunity to create a great partnership moving forward. And I think a lot of the bluster of the 51st state, again, is a negotiating tactic for the president. Mark Carney, a seasoned international banker, knows his way around an economy. And of course, he is a banker that actually, and they have a relationship because Brookfield Asset Management, to which he was a major, was the chair of, actually lent $1.2 billion to Jared Kushner to save his real estate deal in New York. So President Trump will also be aware of that. Third, another important aspect is the Arctic. And so the Arctic is an area that we have national security and North American security interests in as global warming continues to take shape, and the opportunity for opening up that Northwest Passage is incredible, and there are incredible resources up there that America would also like to have access to. There's great opportunities here. I see a really congenial, friendly meeting engagement. I believe that to be the case. And political rhetoric during a campaign will dissipate for the pragmatism of the moment and creating an opportunity to forge a stronger alliance. And also, Donald Trump needs a win here to show the world that he can work with his closest trading partner. As you mentioned, we are the second largest. $2.5 billion US travels between the two borders each and every day. So it's a significant trading relationship. We have the world's longest undefended border, but we, Canada, need to do more to secure that border and also to work with the Americans on key issues that they're trying to address.
Mr. Baxendale, just very quickly, now that you've mentioned the Baxter between Mark Carney and Donald Trump, do you think Canadians expect Donald Trump to tone it down? What's the expectation in Canada?
I think that we've been seeing a number of reports over the past week or so where the president has certainly toned down that rhetoric, saying that he would prefer actually to be negotiating with a liberal, and also that they're not going to use military force against Canada. It was a chilling thought that was even a conversation point on the weekend, as reported by NBC. But no, I see the president being very pragmatic. The tariff situation, again. The target here is China. Shouldn't be Canada. It shouldn't be Mexico. But I see certainly a calmer demeanor by the president and a calmer demeanor by our prime minister, and I think they will hit it off very well.
All right, Mr. Dane Baxendale, it's always great to see you and to talk to you. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's head to some breaking news coming in from Germany. And Germany's conservative leader, Friedrich Merz, has officially been elected by parliament as the country's next chancellor. The vote just came in a few minutes ago, but not after Merz lost the first round. Then for a few hours, became a major hurdle in assuming the top position. This has happened for the first time in the country's history. Merz has breathed a sigh of relief after falling short of 6 votes in the first round of voting earlier this morning. Out of 630 lower house votes, a chancellor in waiting needs to secure a clear majority, which is 316 votes. In round 1, Merz had secured the backing of only 310 lawmakers, while 307 voted against him. The rest abstained. In the second round, Merz secured a comfortable majority with 325 lawmakers voting in his favor. After the failure in the first round, leaders of the Conservative Party and coalition partner SPD remained positive of other left parties coming on board after the coalition partners quoted several lawmakers. The short-lived panic among coalition parties did not deter the AfD from adding to chaos, as the parliament's key opposition, the far-right party, had reacted strongly to Merz's first-round loss.
Embarrassing. Very embarrassing for him, I think. If he doesn't have his own shop under control, he might have to reconsider. Or we need an alternative, not the one for Germany.
I wasn't very surprised. I think they want to make it a bit clear that not everything will be so easy. But I think he will succeed in the second round of voting. So let's see.
I think it's a shame that he wasn't elected today. I think it's a bad thing for Germany that we're now back in such a mess. And apart from that, I think Merz is actually the least of the evils compared to the other candidates. You can only vote for the least of the evils in Germany anyway, and I think the CDU and Merz are the least of the evils.
Having now secured the mandate in Parliament too, Merz now faces an uphill battle of piecing together Germany's flailing economy, boosting defense and dealing with global uncertainty following Trump's tariff war. Opposition against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is mounting in Israel. Anti-government protesters took to the streets of Jerusalem, calling for an end to the war in Gaza and demanding the return of remaining hostages held by Hamas. Hundreds of protesters gathered outside the Israeli parliament. The latest wave of protests come after Israel's cabinet approved a plan to capture the entire Gaza Strip and remain in the territory indefinitely.
Last night we stayed up late in the cabinet and decided on an intensified operation in Gaza. It was the Chief of Staff's recommendation to proceed, as he put it, toward the defeat of Hamas. And along the way, he believes this will also help us rescue the hostages. And I agree with him. We are not letting go of this effort, and we will not give up on anyone.
Demonstrators accused Netanyahu of deviating from the priority of getting the hostages home. They also accused Netanyahu of using war in Gaza as a shield to protect his government.
We are here to protest against this fascist government that wants to prolong this war, which in my opinion is no longer a war, it's a genocide. And obviously, Netanyahu wants to keep his throne, and for that, he is willing to sacrifice the hostages. So we are here to protest against that.
Israeli Prime Minister is facing a heightened scrutiny over his decisions. Netanyahu's honesty is in question as he faces a trial in a corruption case. Earlier today, Israeli Prime Minister appeared before court to give his testimony. Netanyahu is the first sitting Israeli Prime Minister to stand as a criminal defendant. With Netanyahu fighting for political survival in the court, critics say his Gaza war plan may be a political move to divert attention from his trial and efforts to consolidate power within Israel. Cardinals from across the globe are now just hours away from beginning the conclave to elect the next pope. Before they meet to elect the next pontiff of Catholic Church, cardinals held their last congregation at the Vatican. From Africa to Asia, Europe to Latin America, cardinals will gather under the Vatican's historic Sistine Chapel. Voting process for a new pope is set to begin on May 7th. The conclave will begin with 133 eligible cardinals entering the Sistine Chapel to the Litany of the Saints. All the cardinals will take an oath of secrecy beneath Michelangelo's Last Judgment, then cast their first ballots. A candidate needs at least 89 votes to win the papacy. If there is no winner on day one, ballots will continue, 2 each in the morning and afternoon, until white smoke rises above the Vatican. Meanwhile, faithful wandering around St. Peter's Square express their preferences and hope that their favorite candidate will become pope and what they expect from Francis's successor.
It could be Cardinal Parolin, who is from the province of Vicenza, since we come from Treviso. Well, we like him as a person. He seems like a good candidate.
Honestly, I would choose no one at the moment. It's surprising, but there isn't anyone at the moment who shows such strong charisma as Pope Francis or John Paul II. We'll see.
Syria's President Ahmed al-Sharaa and the foreign minister were seen playing basketball in their formals. The visual was posted by Foreign Minister Assad al-Shabaini with a caption, "On the sidelines of the battle to build our homeland." And that's the latest on this edition of Race to Power on WION World is One. Thank you for watching.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yowon.com.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying with us. You are watching WION World is One with me, Raisha Saigal, and this is WION Fine Print. Lots lined up for you on the show. Let's get you started. India will hold major air exercises along the international border with Pakistan. A notice to airmen has been issued for May 7th and 8th to close to the western border. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the services chiefs visit ISI headquarters for security briefing. The meeting focused on prevailing security environment amid tensions with India. Pakistan government claims 7 soldiers killed in IED explosion in Balochistan province.